And we are certainly honored to welcome all our distinguished dignitaries to the opening plenary of the DEFSAT Conference and Exposition 2026, a premier platform where defense, space, and strategic technologies converge to shape India's national security architecture. May I request everyone to kindly take their seats as we prepare to commence the formal proceedings. I would now request distinguished dignitaries to kindly grace the stage. I invite Air Vice Marshal Manu Midha, DG DSA, to kindly join us on the stage. Dr. Vinayak Godse, CEO Data Security Council of India, DSCI. A warm welcome to you, sir. Inviting Mr. Ben Palmer, OBE, President Viasat Commercial, to kindly grace the stage. Inviting Mr. Partha P. Roy Chowdhury, Vice President Missions, ICEYE, to kindly grace the stage. Inviting Lieutenant General PJS Pannu, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired, former Deputy Chief of Integrated Defence Services, to kindly grace the stage. Inviting Dr. Subba Pavuluri, CMD Anand Technologies and President SIA-INDIA, to join the dignitaries, and also inviting Mr. Anil Prakash, Director General SIA-INDIA, to kindly grace the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request everyone to kindly rise for the national song followed by the national anthem.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sukhalam, Malayaja Sheetalam, Sasya Shyamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Jyotsna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे, जय 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 हे.
Thank you. Kindly be seated. May I request for the exit doors to be closed, please? Thank you. Namaskar and good morning. Respected dignitaries, senior military leaders, policymakers, technology innovators and industry partners, distinguished guests, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pride to welcome you to DEFSAT Conference and Exhibition 2026, our premier global platform dedicated to advancing the synergy between defense, space, and strategic technologies. Organized by SIA-INDIA, DEFSAT 2026 stands at the intersection of national security, imperatives, and next-generation space capabilities. This year's theme, Space at the Core to National Security, is both timely and transformative. As the geopolitical landscape evolves and technology becomes the decisive factor in safeguarding sovereignty, space has emerged not merely as a domain of exploration, but as a critical pillar of defense preparedness, intelligence, superiority, and strategic deference. Over the years, DEFSAT has emerged as one of the nation's most consequential platforms, uniting the senior military leaders, policymakers, technology innovators, and industry partners to chart the future of military space strategy. This year's edition comes at a historic juncture as India announces its higher ever defense budget of rupees 7.85 crores for the financial year 26-27, with a significant capital outlay of rupees 2.19 lakh crores dedicated to next generation platforms, advanced weapons, launch systems, and space-enabled technologies. In line with the Make in India vision, rupees 1.39 lakh crore has been prioritized for procurement from domestic defense industries, underscoring our commitment to self-reliance and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, DEFSAT is not just a dialogue, it is a vision where military excellence meets technological brilliance and where India asserts its place as a global leader in defense space strategy. And today we are honored that the opening plenary of DEFSAT 2026 is graced by an eminent constellation of military leadership, strategic thinkers, cybersecurity experts, and global space industry pioneers, reflecting the multi-dimensional character of today's national security ecosystem. I now invite Dr. Subba Pavuluri, President SIA-INDIA, to kindly felicitate our distinguished dignitaries with floral bouquets and the ceremonial stoles as a mark of our respect and gratitude. I request you, sir, to welcome and honor Air Vice Marshal Manu Midha, DG DSA. Bouquet. स्टोल जल्दी से आओ बताया भी था लैंप लाइटिंग बाद में A very, very warm welcome to you, sir. We are honored by your gracious presence today. We welcome Dr. Vinayak Godse, CEO, Data Security Council of India, DSCI. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We welcome and honor Mr. Ben Palmer, OBE, President Viasat Commercial. We welcome and honor Mr. Partha P. Roy Chowdhury, Vice President Missions, ICEYE. And we are honored to welcome and felicitate Lieutenant General PJS Pannu, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired former Deputy Chief of Integrated Defense Services. Thank you, Mr. Pavuluri, for doing the honors. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all are aware, in our country, India, every auspicious beginning is marked by the illumination of knowledge and wisdom. May I now request all our distinguished dignitaries on the dais to kindly join us for the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. I would also like to invite, along with the dignitaries, Mr. Gautam Sharma, MD Viasat India, and Lieutenant General Dushant Singh, retired DG Claus, to kindly join the dignitaries for the lamp lighting ceremony.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमो
As the flame glows, it symbolizes innovation, resilience, and India's unwavering commitment to securing the space frontier. And let's put our hands together for the ceremonial inauguration.
ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रांश्च मतिं स्वच्छां हि मे सदा रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् यस्य तिष्ठेत् गृहे दीपः तस्य नास्ति दरिद्रता शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते.
Thank you very much indeed for doing the honors. May I request our dignitaries to kindly take their seats on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the Satcom Industry Association India, SIA-INDIA, is the leading industry body representing India's space and satellite communications ecosystem. It serves as a vital bridge between the government, defense, regulators, and the private industry, promoting policy advocacy, indigenous innovation, and global collaboration. Through initiatives such as DEFSAT and the India Space Congress, SIA-INDIA plays a key role in strengthening India's space capabilities in alignment with national security and strategic priorities. Dr. Subba Pavuluri is a distinguished technologist and a pioneering entrepreneur with over 4 decades of contribution to India's space program. He is the president of SIA-INDIA and chairman and managing director of Anil Technologies, one of India's earliest private companies supporting ISRO and defense programs. And let's put our hands together to welcome Sir for his welcome address.
Namaskar and good morning to everybody. Distinguished personalities on the dais and distinguished participants. And you took so much of trouble coming early in the morning that too in Delhi weather. We welcome you all. Thank you. It's a privilege to welcome this distinguished gathering of military leadership, policymakers, industry pioneers, scientists, and strategic thinkers for the 4th edition of DEFSAT. You know, we have been meeting consequently, and this is the 4th edition, 4th meeting that we have in this. This edition is particularly special, very special for all of us, particularly after Operation Sindoor. 4 years ago, when we began building the DEFSAT as a dedicated platform for defense space dialogue, it was driven by a simple conviction that India needed a structured and sustained conversation at the intersection of the space and national security. But today, witnessing the overwhelming response, the depth of participation, and extraordinary presence in this hall, I feel both humbled and deeply gratified. What began as an idea has evolved into a national platform. Today, DEFSAT has become the national platform. What began as a conversation had grown into a movement. Now we have been seeing that the space is playing such an important role in war scenarios too. Over the past editions of DEFSAT, we have had the privilege of hosting distinguished leaders, including the Governor of Uttaranchal, Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, and Principal Advisor to MOD, Lieutenant General Vinod Kandare. Generally, Vinod Kandare always used to be present and will be very active during the sessions. But somehow, since his health is not permitting him, he could not make it up this time. We pray well for him. Thank you. And also we had earlier General R.S. Reen, General Officer Commanding-in-Chief of Southwestern Command, and several other eminent figures. We have enriched these deliberations with their vision and guidance. Their continued engagement has helped shape this platform into a premier forum for defense space dialogue in India. Your presence here is not merely attendance. It is a powerful affirmation that the convergence of space and security is no longer optional but essential for any war scenario. It is therefore fitting that we gather under a theme that is both timely and transformative: space at the core of the nation's security. That's the theme of the seminar. And the space at the core to the nation's security. It is not just, byword and along with the national security. It's the core for national security today. And supporting this, not supporting from margins, but it is very core. In many ways, this theme reflects how the character of warfare itself has evolved over a period of time. From secure communications and satellite navigation to intelligence, surveillance, targeting, and logistics coordination, disaster response, and cyber defense, the infrastructure in orbit now shapes outcomes on the ground. The sky above us is deeply intertwined with the security on the ground and below us. Over the next 3 days, DEFSAT 2026 will move this conversation from aspiration to architecture. We begin by addressing the fundamental reality: space assets must be treated as a national critical infrastructure. I repeat again, the space assets are to be recognized as a national critical infrastructure. In fact, in our submission to Government of India, over a period of time in various budgets, etc., we also been requesting them. And I'm sure with all the goodwill that present here today, we'll have the space as a very critical infrastructure, and accordingly, Government of India would support and continues to support. Thank you, sir. In an era of electronic warfare, emerging quantum threats, resilience cannot be an afterthought. It must be designed into the system from the very beginning. As we examine evolving adversarial space doctrines, and we have seen clearly during Operation Sindoor, it is clear that counter-space capabilities and grey zone tactics are shaping strategic stability, demanding preparedness, technological depth, and sustained investments from India. Equally critical is strengthening India's military-industrial space ecosystem. In fact, in this regard, the effort being made by General Pannu, we must acknowledge and we thank him for this, organizing the DEFSAT in this regard. See, the end of the seminar, I think we have the third day, we have tabletop war scenario that is being conducted by General Pannu. But this time we miss General Kandare. In fact, there's something like, Jagal Bandhu, what they call it in Hindi. Yeah, both of them used to do that. And this year we will be missing that anyway. And General Bandhu and General Pannu Garu and his other people will organize this very well this year also on that. And welcome you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Pavuluri, for setting the tone for DEFSAT 2026 with such clarity and conviction. Thank you for those warm words of welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to invite a leader who has witnessed firsthand the evolution of India's joint defense architecture and the growing centrality of space and strategic planning. We are privileged to have with us Lieutenant General PJS Pannu, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, retired former Deputy Chief of Integrated Defense Services. A highly decorated officer of the Indian Army, Lieutenant General Pannu has had an illustrious career spanning decades of operational command, strategic planning, and joint services coordination. During his tenure at the Headquarters Integrated Defense Staff, he played a crucial role in strengthening the tri-services integration, a reform that has become the foundational to India's modern military doctrine. Sir, we are certainly honored by your presence and your continued guidance to the strategic community. May I now request Lieutenant General PJS Pannu to kindly deliver the thematic address. Let's put our hands together to welcome Sir.
Jai Hind, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Subba for your welcome address, the dignitaries on the stage, and friends who have been here associated with SIA and DEFSAT proceedings earlier, and the ones who have joined now, including foreign friends who are also in uniform and even representing the companies. The hall where we sit here has witnessed and heard stories, tales, and actual acts of valor, which both bring honor to the nation, as also discuss the future challenges that the nation would face. But the legacy of Field Marshal Manekshaw stays. The elegance of this hall and the Manekshaw Center remains to where it is, but the world around it has rapidly changed. The globe has changed in last 5 years even more prominently. The technology has taken forward leap, but human relation, unfortunately, is on a backward movement. And because of this difference between the relationship between the humanity, even the nations have suffered and taken a back seat as far as relations are concerned. And the technology increasingly gets used to ensure that whatever we have achieved is now taken on a path of development, but with caution, and therefore far too many things that are going on in the world are left in the arena of speculation. SIA also came in to being in last 5 years, and those days we have forgotten, but when we go back, we realize that we suffered COVID. None of us could come out of our homes. India delivered vaccines without any conditions to the world, only to be later on responded with the threats of trade and tariffs. While the technology has advanced, the space as a domain has slowly taken its position as the final frontier, and it is here to stay. It has gradually joined by cyber as an enabler, but also as a power which will decimate the legacy technologies. So therefore, space and cyber have come together to ensure that it is not only the way we make networks, but we also make it possible for our space assets to remain secure. In 2024, the space global economy was seen to be at $613 billion US. But in next 10 years, it is likely to rise to almost $2 trillion. This speed has been possible because the artificial intelligence has come to push the technology forward. The data has become a king. Today, the pillars of global security are energy security, nuclear deterrence, and data sovereignty. Now, data privacy, data security, data management, data analysis, the possession of data becomes a weapon, and therefore data denial also becomes a factor in warfare. The SATCOM, as we spoke about it earlier, the SATCOM Industries Association looked at communication as being central for enablement of the space. It provided the energy to transfer the data not only for communication but also for PNT and also ISR. So therefore, when you talk about SATCOM, you also talk about networks enabled by the cyber systems. It is not only the terrestrial and non-terrestrial combined which has given a power, but ultimately the compute and the speed of it which has enabled us to be where we are today when we look at space as a final frontier. It cannot be a final frontier unless it is supported by the cyber. It cannot be a final frontier unless we understand how the AI has enabled it. Data has become an enabler. So therefore, there are three things which are very important, as I said: the oil, the weapons of mass destruction, and the data. The oil and the nuclear bomb don't go together. A country which possesses oil cannot possess a nuclear bomb, and you know why Iran is where it is. But if you have the energy security and you possess oil and you also have a bomb, it instantly makes you a superpower. But the new power in the field now is data. Either there will be data denied, or you will have data which will dominate. So both the denial and domination will come from those who will gather data will be empowered through space, because space is the one which gives you the power to see the world all along, constantly, all the time. And slowly, as we understand, the quantum technology has taken a big leap. The Chinese invested hugely in quantum. They also went to land at moon, on the other side, on the darker side of the moon. They also built a space station. Last 5 years have been very interesting if you watch. There's privatization of the space which has happened. Elon Musk, through SpaceX, really has dominated the world. Falcon 9 gave us a technology where the rockets became reusable, reducing the cost of launch. The space command and control systems are going to be up in the space, powered by nuclear energy. So therefore, our data centers will also rise into the orbit. Space is also now a matter of tourism. I think once we are gone, you would find that the next people who live here would also have a rocket going to space. Would you want to go to the moon? Would you want to go to the Mars? People would be traveling to moon and Mars as part of the space tourism. That is going to happen. So therefore, in India also we made progress with Chandrayaan, Gaganyaan, Mangalyaan. Then we put Aditya to look at the sun. Then we are now signatories to Artemis, and we know in Artemis 2 how the rocket is being prepared to send the human again back to the moon. India is a signatory to it, but see how the new technology is being looked at. There is a struggle going on, how the rocket is being prepared, and we watch it every day. Number of space agencies have come up. But these space agencies are now looking at the conventional space domains, such as exploration of the planets. So large traditional space domain is going to be looked after by the private companies. So the privatization has come in. And that is how the policies are being shaped. So we have a policy National Space Policy of 2023 to be looked at. And as far as military is concerned, we have to look at the DAP 2026, how the future technology is going to be enabled. Terrorism has not stopped. Internal threats make shades of gray. So therefore, proxy wars and gray zone hybrid operations are still at large. So therefore, when you look at space, the space will not only have the partnership of cyber, but also users who traditionally we thought had nothing to do with space, such as our internal security and homeland security, and also the civil defense as organizations are increasingly and incrementally looking at space. The space plus cyber, space goes for internal security, space goes into discovery, and today we also have discovery of the sixth domain, that is the near space. Earlier there was a gap between the plane where it could fly and the satellites which could move in orbit. That entire space is going to be filled up by new technology innovations in the sixth frontier, that is the near space with HAPS and whatever can climb higher than the aeroplane and lower than the satellites in the orbit. So therefore, space networks are to be looked at. So we have C5 coming in with command, control, communication, computers, and cyber coming in. But also in the multi-domain operations, we have stacked to the land, sea, air. Ultimately, the cyber and the space have come into fighting a non-contact, non-kinetic battle, but also join and supplement the kinetic battles, because all over the world you find years, in last 5 years, have grown from fighting in Ukraine, fighting in Israel, Hamas, coming closer to Iran and India, Pakistan, and also Pakistan, Afghanistan. The flashpoints are on the increase. So therefore, you find that we need to have better understanding of how the space is going to be giving us enablement to be able to tackle the national security issues. So therefore, the theme of today and this DEFSAT is space the ultimate power as part of the comprehensive national power? And then when you look at it, you find, no, the space is actually at the core of national security. It encompasses all the other domains. And as we move forward, if space is going to be all powerful, the assets in the space are also going to be under threat. So therefore, the satellites that we launch, the space technology that evolves, the space designs which are made by private companies in research and development, the rockets that we produce, the satellites that couple the rockets for a launch, the command and control or the edge compute, which we are talking about increasingly, the size, weight, and power that will go into the satellites, all these assets are going to make sure that they start controlling the globe. Anybody who controls the earth would conquer the earth. So if the entire power is going to be in the space, our space assets are also going to be under threat. So therefore, we step on to talking about the space wars. We heard about Star Wars. We heard about how the space assets are going to be looked at. Right from the beginning itself, when the Outer Space Treaty was being worked at and looked at, they knew at that time that space could be weaponized. But at that time, they couldn't understand that we are going to actually step into space wars. So in the last 4 years, as we have grown from DEFSAT 1, 2, 3, and 4th, and INSpace X, which is the exercise which becomes part and parcel of DEFSAT from INSpace 1, 2, 3, and 4, we are slowly graduating to not only the military support by the space, but also how the space is going to be a fighting domain. And the United States, the Russians, and the Chinese have actually declared the space as a domain of warfighting. And if they have declared it as the domain of warfighting, we can't be sitting looking at space assets as a peaceful resource. It is actually the resource of national security and a resource of military. So therefore, we have to look at space wars ourselves. This DEFSAT, we should look at it, and I hope from the next year, from a tabletop exercise, which is a war game, we can step into a simulation of an exercise. So we wish all the participants to have a great learning here, and many experts who have come, we request them to share their thoughts with us so that we can grow together and have space as the core of national security discussed. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you very much indeed, General, for articulating the strategic imperatives linking space capabilities and integrated defense planning. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to invite a distinguished leader from India's cybersecurity domain, Dr. Vinayak Godse, CEO of the Data Security Council of India. Dr. Godse heads DSCI, India's premier industry body dedicated to strengthening data protection, cybersecurity frameworks, and digital trust. Under his leadership, DSCI has played a pivotal role in shaping the cyber resilience strategies, capacity building, policy advocacy, and global cooperation in digital security. His insights today are particularly relevant as we look at safeguarding the space-based assets against the emerging threats, from cyber intrusions and signal interference to data manipulation and infrastructure vulnerabilities. I would now request Dr. Vinayak Godse, CEO DSCI, to kindly address the August House. Let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Dr. Subba, General Pannu sir, with whom we engage quite closely on the matters of cybersecurity, and actually with him we are learning cybersecurity, and he tries to come to our event to learn what is happening in cybersecurity. So both way, and all other dignitaries on dais and gentlemen and ladies for coming for this very important critical deliberation which we had been part of since last year. We know the every domain that we had been seeing until now, because of the way things are evolving, way the ecosystem is getting built, the kind of commercialization space which is evolving, kind of economic ecosystem that is really getting built around it basically. So a lot of these domains in many of the areas had been very limited, controlled kind of orbit basically, right? But each of the domain, which supposedly very controlled domain like a space for that matter, is getting more democratized, more participatory in nature basically, right? And we are realizing it doesn't serve couple of purposes, but it also serves a lot of economic bigger purposes basically. And there is a not only use of the space assets for various different things, it's also building this ecosystem with industry basically, right? So the once we look at all the ecosystem, the way it is getting built, and especially the digitization which is creating critical contributions to this development and evolution. So we also see democratization of capabilities as well. And we are seeing the small startups, mid-sized companies, and so many this ecosystem is trying to build those capabilities. And so is we also look at basically, so these capabilities can be leveraged as well, right? So the many things that is happening at the space level, many things as the outcome of these space assets basically is available for anybody to use it basically, right? So it's not only the challenges of securing the space, it's also the outcome that it gives basically, which is very democratized and participative in nature. Anybody can get access to that. And now the more and more they are becoming more advanced, more and more capabilities that is getting delivered, right? So for example, very high resolution kind of images of a particular geography can be downloaded by anybody, and we had been seeing these kind of instances as well, right? So when this ecosystem gets such a democratized participatory, we also invite the challenges, and it is also getting digitized a lot, like many other areas. Many things are getting digitized. We also see space is getting also digitized, basically, right? So the larger challenge of national security, and one of the important areas that as a Data Security Council of India we also explore as a national security. So orbital assurance is one of the important area of a national security ecosystem, basically, right? And one of the important domain of a national security as well. There are 6-7 critical domains of national security which can be tied up with technology, and orbital assurance is one of the important part, because as economies depend on it, as military preparedness is dependent on it, basically, as a lot of those transactions that we have been processing depend on it, and it is coming as one of the important also, because LEO satellite coming is a resiliency connectivity for that matter is depend on it. So the assurance on orbital or orbital assurance becomes very important domain of a national security preparedness, basically, right? And we had been saying the things that could go wrong in a space ecosystem, but when things becomes such a participative, democratized, there are so many assets that is coming in, the speed at which they move on. So the challenges of security here are very different, basically, and we last 2-3 years we have been trying to explore what are those challenges, basically, right? So any system that we talk about, or technical system that we talk about, the kind of a interdependency you create, basically, right? Kind of a volume at which things are happening, the speed at which it is growing, basically, right? And the kind of a impact it will bring to the table, right? So all these creates quite a significant challenge. I was talking to Dr. Pannu and some years back. So one is managing security, and one is managing security where you have much levers with you at a ground station to interact and engage with those assets in one part of the story. Secondly, those assets are moving at a speed that we can't even imagine, basically. So you have to manage the challenge of security, basically. Third important part is the complexity at which they are being built, basically. That needs to be managed. Fourth is the kind of a legacy, the gestation period for that matter. Any IT systems can be replaced in a year's time, basically. Whereas an asset that you have in the space will remain there for almost 10 years, 15 years sometimes, basically, right? So then you have to make sure that you had been able to manage that across the time period, across the life cycle, basically, right? So there are a lot of interesting challenges which probably should attract the cybersecurity professionals to see, work on how do we solve these problems, basically, right? So one of the effort that we put together as the Data Security Council of India is getting the cybersecurity professionals interested, engaged on this part of the ecosystem, basically, right? We have quite a good capability and competence available in this country. We are almost 650,000 plus people working in cybersecurity space. They are delivering services globally. A lot of global companies are coming and setting up their centers here. We are almost 400 plus product company in India in cybersecurity space. But getting them interested to such area like a space security is one of the important role and effort we are putting together, and inspired by the Dr. General Pannu's basically contribution and these interactions, basically, right? Another part is with our understanding we can also contribute what is happening in a space ecosystem. So these are two agendas, basically, we approach this, and we also try to understand what is happening from the technology perspective, right? We have been saying every week there's a different stories about AI creating problem for cybersecurity. Last week the early story was it is creating for a SaaS ecosystem. So when we are saying, and we are probably realized this between 2010 to 2020, we didn't really pay much deeper attention to what was happening in artificial intelligence, basically. And it's not only that, we didn't pay attention to what was happening in computing, for that matter, and that's why compute is becoming a very significant part. So we didn't really pay attention to what are the different technology areas which are emerging and how they are getting built, basically, right? And if you don't really pay attention to what is going to happen, and we have seen now we are playing that catch-up game in terms of the AI, especially, and other areas of technology. If you really don't pay attention to what is going to happen from now, like for example, AI of today, what that means to AI of 2028, what that means to AI for 2030, for that matter, what it brings as a challenges of security. You can just imagine the kind of analysis, kind of a data, kind of reasoning that you can get hold of, your ability to understand any complex system, and the ability to understand what could go wrong with it basically. For that matter, AI can help you to find the all possible problems. It can also help you to how to exploit it. It can also help you to how to distribute it basically, right? So ability to understand the capability of these technology areas and try to understand what kind of security ramification and challenge it will create for us, not only seeing current, but seeing next 2 years, next 3 years, next 5 years for that matter, next 10 years for that matter. So as a Data Security Council of India, we work with Niti Aayog on this Frontier Tech initiative. We partner on this national security works team. So we try to investigate what is going to happen in next 3, 5, 10, 15 years of time. And what could that mean to overall cyber security, national security, right? And we would like to see how exactly it would evolve and probably shape up the satellite industry as well, right? So design will be very easy for you, but until now you're struggling in terms of designing. You can accelerate the entire launch plan. You can put a lot of digitization ecosystem there. So one is the what impact the AI would bring to the space economy, but another part is what kind of challenges it will throw to space and space ecosystem basically, right? So some of these agendas and some of these effort that we want to really put together in partnership with SIA and the entire space ecosystem in going forward, and make sure that we create this space security ecosystem in the country together with this partnership basically. So with this expectations and contribution and probably commitment, I really thank you for getting me here and giving opportunity to the Data Security Council of India to contribute to this agenda of DEFSAT of this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Godse, for highlighting the critical intersection of space security and cyber resilience. Your remarks have reinforced that in modern security paradigm, the safeguarding data and digital infrastructure is as vital as protecting the physical assets. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Godse has another pressing appointment that he needs to attend to. I would request Dr. Pavuluri to kindly do the honors of presenting him with a token of gratitude, a small memento. Let's put our hands together to thank Dr. Godse for sparing his valuable time gracing this occasion and for that wonderful address we had from him. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to an important industry perspective that reflects how advanced space technologies are redefining the national preparedness and operational agility. And it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Partha P. Roy Chowdhury, Vice President Missions, ICEYE. He is representing one of the world's leading providers of synthetic aperture radar satellite systems and brings deep expertise in missions operations, real-time Earth observation, and space-enabled intelligence solutions. ICEYE's cutting-edge radar satellites provide persistent, all-weather day and night monitoring capabilities, empowering the governments and defense establishments with timely, actionable intelligence. Sir, may I invite you to kindly address the August House. Let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the armed forces, fellow enthusiasts of space technology. I represent ICEYE, the company that owns and operates the world's largest synthetic aperture radar constellation. Now, when we say ICEYE, I mean a lot of alarm actually rings on a lot of ears here because they think it's ICEYE. So a lot of good for me actually. So today I will cover the global trends in SAR-based satellites, intelligence, reconnaissance, and how ICEYE operational capabilities and how India can harness those to bolster our national security. As per the novel space economy, and General Pannu referred that the global space economy is on a significant growth trajectory. It is positioned to expand at almost from 600 billion to approx 1 trillion by 2034. That's a 12% CAGR. SAR satellite market is growing rapidly also, driven by the defense demand for all weather, day and night imaging that optical system cannot deliver. Key developments in the sector include miniaturized X-band satellites that deliver high-resolution images at a fraction of the cost and the timeline of the legacy systems, AI-assisted analysis, reducing the time for image acquisition to a faster tasking. Mobile ground units, such as ISI ISR cell, bring a full ISR loop to the tactical edge, compressing the cycle from hours to minutes. ICEYE has launched 64 satellites since 2018 for itself and the customers, including 22 in 2025 alone. With 20 more planned for 2026, ICEYE plans to scale to an average production rate of 1 satellite per week. ICEYE delivers these capabilities as complete sovereign systems, satellites, ground segment, ICEYE Connect, global ground station network, ISR cell training, and continuous software upgrades. Full systems can be launched, deployed, and made operational within 12 months. ICEYE is a trusted partner for defense and intelligence organizations in many countries like Finland, Germany, Greece, Poland, Portugal, Netherlands, Sweden, and Ukraine. NATO has selected ICEYE as a vendor for space-based ISR and further few more countries as well. Coming to the India's strategic environment, Indian programs have already, signal a clear national intent to build sovereign space-based surveillance. At a scale, ICEYE capabilities are designed to complement these programs. ICEYE is an active partner to Indian defense organizations. Our vision for India is rooted in sovereign ownership, technology transfer, capacity building, the indigenous R&D, and going ahead and holding hand of every situation India faces today. ICEYE is committed to supporting Atmanirbhar Bharat and exploring opportunities to co-develop and manufacture SAR systems locally. We are looking forward to a Vikshit Bharat, and ICEYE technology is ITAR-free, built in Europe, and meaning that the supply chain delivery timelines are not exposed to any restriction affecting any other country's defense ecosystem. Now, let me show you some of the slides which the ISR SAR imagery, sorry for the people on stage, it will be a hard task for you, but yeah. So the slides will show you directly how India's requirement and how are we operating right now in the ISR environment. So what you see is detect and classify of vessels in Djibouti. This is for, what do you see, the tugboats here, the People Liberation Army support base at Djibouti. Now here is a very important damage assessment site monitoring. This is before, this is after. This is find and track and detect monitoring change. Now here is important where you see the change detection, the submarine detection of port of Chow. Now if you see, we have not only identified the object, we have also identified the class. And these are submarines. This is the aircraft and vehicle infrastructure classification in Syria. This is a dual precise image of 25 centimeter. So this is like the radar equipment, missile canisters, mobile command post, and all other detection that classify, and then the commanders can take a decision. Now coming to that ISR cell, the ISR cell is ISI deployable containerized ground segment that brings the full ISR cycle to the tactical edge. It enables operators to task satellites, download data, process imagery with AI, and disseminate intelligence on site, even in remote or forward deployed locations. The ISR cell compresses the cycle of collection to dissemination in minutes. It operates independently from the central command, making it suited for high threat border environments where fixed ground segments may not be available or maybe not practical. The ISR cells are all validated in the NATO military exercises, and the production is underway with customer deliveries as 2026. Now that's what looks the picture inside of the ISR cell. Now, just not to go and shorten the time, I should say we are already on a sovereign mission track record. We are in Germany, Finland, Poland, Sweden, Netherlands, Portugal, Ukraine. These are the pictures which are self-explanatory. You can go through and see how we are expanding in a very short time and with a rapid pace. So we are not limited only to defense. We have gone beyond that, and we can be help in the disaster management as well. So this is the insight of what we can do on a flood situation. India faces several annual monsoon floodings, cyclones, and landslides. I think we are, before the event, we can give you early warnings and also let you manage the impact of the flood in 6 to 12 hours of peak flooding. Minded this time the weather, the resources, and nothing is with you at that point of time. So just to conclude on what we said, India's security environment requires persistent all-weather intelligence from space. ICEYE delivered this capability to allied nations across Europe and beyond, with system operational within months of contract signature. ICEYE is actively engaging with Indian government defense stakeholders, and we look forward how we can serve more to the Indian national security and the space strategy. Please consider as a long-term partner. We welcome further discussion to move forward together. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Roy Chowdhury, for sharing us the capabilities of ICEYEs and for highlighting how cutting-edge satellite intelligence strengthens the national resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to explore how space is at the core of the national security, we now turn to a global industry leader whose work is shaping the future of the secure satellite communications across continents. And it is my distinct privilege to invite Mr. Ben Palmer, OBE, President Viasat Commercial. He is an internationally respected leader in the satellite communications sector, overseeing Viasat's global commercial operations. With extensive experience in delivering secure, resilient, and high-security satellite networks, he has played a pivotal role in enabling the governments and defense establishments worldwide to maintain mission-critical connectivity in complex and contested environments. So we are certainly honored with your presence at DEFSAT 2026, and may I now invite you to kindly deliver your industry address. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to welcome Mr. Palmer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, good morning. Let me say first what a pleasure it is to be back here in India, a country that I've got to know quite well over the last 20 years. I should also say thank you to the distinguished panelists. It's good to come later on because a lot of the things I was going to talk about, I feel better about saying because other people have already said them. It's also interesting for me, having spent the best part of 25 years working in the kind of national security and defence world, mainly in respect of Europe, the Middle East, and then Southwest Asia, to be back talking about national security issues. I now spend most of my time in the commercial world, but as General Pannu said so clearly, the convergence we're seeing between commercial and military national security issues is really a function of the world we're in. I should also say that I don't know what I've done to merit being invited as your guest of honour. It's a first for me. It doesn't happen very often, but I would like to thank you for inviting me, and it's me that's honoured to be here. I was going to make three main points. The first is that societies today cannot function without reliable and resilient access to space. Space-based capabilities are, of course, critical to national security. But I think the important point is that they also underpin much of the economic activity that drives growth and enables that other key pillar of national security, economic prosperity. And in turn, satellite communications underpin every other space-based mission, serving as the dual-use oxygen, if you like, that breathes life into the sensing, early warning, targeting, ISR, weather forecasting, navigating, scientific, exploration, and even entertainment services upon which we all rely. And in an increasingly data-driven world, the convergence between space, cyber, big data analytics, machine learning, and AI, and indeed even EW, is as true in the economic sphere as it's been made clear is true in the national security and defence sphere. The reality is that without assured, resilient global SATCOM, we would all be in the dark. And the second point I wanted to cover is to say that I know that India gets that. You live in a very dangerous neighbourhood in an increasingly fractious world. The vastness of your territory, the extremes of your geography, combined with the energy of your people and the excellence, frankly, of your science and technology base, and the scale of the economic opportunity before you, as well as the national security challenges that you face. And as a Brit whose country is beset by short-term political twists and turns, I have to say that the grand strategic approach that the government of India is adopting to assure its space sovereignty is really impressive. For me, this isn't just about Make in India and assuring freedom of operation. It's also about the responsible, pragmatic approach that India has adopted in international fora to resist attempts by others seeking market dominance to curtail freedom of choice. This is long-term thinking, it's strategic, and it's wise. The third point, briefly, is to talk a little bit about Inmarsat, the company that I work for and is now part of the Viasat Corporation. Inmarsat has a long history of partnering with Indian institutions and companies to deliver. We employ hundreds of people here in India, helping to build innovative software-defined, software-enabled capabilities. We keep your ships and your airliners and those transiting through Indian territorial waters and airspace safe, enabling global trade to flow smoothly. And in the defence domain, in our provision of satellite phones, satellite communications at sea, land, and in the air, and higher capacity Ka-band satellites in partnership with BSNL and via assured local infrastructure, provides the sovereign communications capability required to underpin operational to tactical mission superiority. We're an innovative business operating in an environment where innovation and the pace of change is accelerating, and we're looking to the future, innovating to deliver cyber and EW resilience, access to different spectrum, and new ways to deliver these key enabling capabilities. For example, we're looking at ways to ensure that governments have access to assured connectivity via alternative network or orbits and alternative radio frequency spectrum. One example of our work in this area is our HSA, or Hybrid Satcom Antenna. I'm back in the land of three-letter acronyms, our Hybrid Satellite Architecture Aircraft Antenna. This system allows an aircraft to obtain a connection from satellites operating in Ku band, Ka band, and L band across satellite orbits, including LEO and GEO. Some of these connections can be achieved simultaneously, ensuring that mission-critical aircraft have multiple options in terms of gaining a secure, reliable, resilient connection. We've seen in Ukraine the prevalence of uncrewed platforms as a way to achieve decisive military effect without putting people in harm's way. I was in Munich last weekend for the security conference that President Zelensky spoke, and some of the imagery and some of the stories he was telling about how Ukraine is defeating the Russians was really innovative and really interesting to observe. Our focus in this space is on creating terminals small enough to fit on the most tactical uncrewed platforms, whether they operate on the ground, in the air, at sea. Being able to obtain beyond line of sight comms with such a small platform requires special technology, in this case, not much larger than a coffee cup. Our work on satellite direct-to-device, or D2D, under our project name Equatus, will increase the capability available to the smallest uncrewed platforms. Finally, at the tactical edge, we're producing very small puck-shaped shoulder-mounted antennas, allowing soldiers to use LTACT, or LTACT, a technology that turns military encrypted radio into a satellite feed, thereby increasing communications range out by many hundreds of kilometers, while still maintaining resilience and, of course, security. Viasat and Inmarsat have come together to form a global partnership. I'm honored to play a leadership role in that endeavor, and I'm keen to explore how we can work more with local teams, building on our strong partnership with BSNL to build capabilities for the future in India that meet India's national security and economic prosperity needs. I'm really excited to see where that journey takes us and looking forward to furthering that dialogue here in India over the next few days. Thank you very much indeed for having me.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Palmer, for your insightful and forward-looking remarks. Your address has powerfully reinforced how robust, secure satellite connectivity underpins the operational readiness and national resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, the Defence Space Agency, DSCI, integrates into multi-domain operations combining land, air, sea, cyber, and space for strategic superiority and plays a key role in forums, something like DEFSAT. And today we are honored to have with us Air Vice Marshal Manu, Director General DSA, who is a seasoned officer and brings with him over 3 decades of remarkable service, marked by operational excellence, strategic foresight, and a deep commitment to advancing India's defense capabilities. As the head of DSA, he is at the forefront of shaping India's multi-domain operations, ensuring that our nation harnesses the power of space for strategic advantages. And I would now request PVSM AVM Midha to kindly deliver his address on why space is core to national security. Let's put our hands together to welcome sir.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for those kind words. I really don't know whether I deserve them or not. Dr. Subba, members of the panel, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege and honor to be here and speaking on in DEFSAT on a topic which is very critical, and in my opinion, which is the theme of the times right now. And if you're talking about why space is core to national security, the problem that you have when you're speaking last has been brought it out. Whatever you wanted to speak, whatever you thought about speaking has already been brought out. I thought that I'll have one ace up my sleeve. No one had talked about Ukraine till now, but Ben took that away also. Anyways, we all know space has emerged as the ultimate high ground, the enabler of modern warfare, the guardian of our sovereignty. In an age where conflicts between nations transcend land, sea, air, and cyber domains, the conversation about criticality of space for national security invariably tends to get framed in the perspective of the contribution to enhance only the effectiveness of combat forces in warfighting. In my opinion, there is a need to look beyond the traditional aspect of how we define contribution of space to national security. Let us ask ourselves first, what do we mean by national security? In the simple, broadest terms, in my opinion, it could be just encapsulated by saying that the security to choose the way we wish to live. And herein I would like to ask you to imagine a day without space. It would be very, very improper for me to even suggest to this audience the implication. But I think we can just suffice to say life as we know today will cease to exist. So in my opinion, the answer to the question, why space is core to national security, can well be appreciated by framing the answer to the bigger question. Why space is core to modern society, and how does it help in guarding our sovereignty and achieving our national objectives? The role of space in shaping a society, its contribution towards modern economy, its role in determining land use, utilization of natural resources, enhancing food security, disaster management, communication, and all other aspects which contribute to the well-being and the security of the country is perhaps better suited for discussion in some other forum. And so I will restrict myself to addressing the latter question. How does space help in increasing the effectiveness of our forces in combat, and why can't we afford to leave that conversation for some other day? Modern sovereignty is no longer defined by the borders on land, sea, or air, but our ability to protect our interest in the vacuum above. Historically, space was always a support domain, a luxury for the elite. However, today's space underpins every facet of national defense. The combat effectiveness of any fighting force is built on three pillars: information, precision, and reach. And space provides all three. Space-based assets allow a commander beyond the horizon capability. It allows him to talk to a tactical unit in a remote valley from a central bunker instantaneously. Whether it be high altitude reaches of Himalayas or dense borderlands, SATCOMs serves as a secure, jam-resistant lifeline, as very aptly brought out by the previous speaker. Beyond communication, the fusion of space with ISR can provide a God's eye view of the battlefield. Space-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance greatly helps in removing the fog of war, provides a commander a transparent battlefield, and for the soldier, it perhaps would be a life-saving sentinel in the sky. The capability of all-weather, day and night surveillance, as brought out by Mr. Partha, gives the commander an edge which perhaps would be decisive in executing his plans. The global navigation satellite systems have brought in the precision revolution. GNSS have converted dumb iron bombs to smart weapons and have enabled precision-guided munitions to hit their mark with surgical accuracy. To appreciate the criticality of national space capability for a country's defense, we need only to look at the battlefields of the last 24 months. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has been dubbed as the first commercial space war. When terrestrial networks were neutralized, Starlink provided the backbone for decentralized command. Small, low-cost satellites from private companies allowed Ukrainian forces to see through the heavy cloud cover and track Russian forces in almost near real time. Operation Absolute Resolve would not really have been happened with the precision and the accuracy that it displayed without the benefit of the capabilities that the space-based assets provide. Closer home, Operation Sindoor underscored a vital truth. Real-time situational awareness is the difference between victory and stalemate. Space assets played a very key role in significantly reducing the OODA loop and achieving the victory that we got. Without space, the combat effectiveness of any military force would be severely compromised in today's world. Our adversaries are investing heavily in developing their space capability. They are not only investing, enhancing their combat enhancing capability, increasing space assets to support ISR, communication and navigation, but also developing counter space capabilities at a significant pace. There is a need for us to make sure that we are able to match in the future space battlefield. The capability in the space amplifies deterrence. And events like these, the DEFSAT 26, underscore this. I'm sure the forum will provide an opportunity for us to find innovative solutions within the existing frameworks to ensure that we are able to develop our capabilities so we are not in any disadvantageous position in the future conflict should we find ourselves in one. Before I end, I would like to leave the audience with the thought that our presence in the stars is the ultimate guarantee of our peace on earth. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for that powerful and strategic articulation. Your address has clearly reinforced that space power is no longer peripheral to national defense. It is a foundation to it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to a significant moment in the opening plenary, the formal release of the India Space Congress 2025 report. Hosted by SIA-INDIA, the India Space Congress 2025 marked a defining moment in India's space journey, reaffirming the nation's position as a credible space power and a trusted global partner across technology, security, sustainability, and governance. Held in New Delhi from 25th to 27th of June 2025, the fourth edition of the Congress brought together over 1,000 delegates from 35 plus countries, including senior leadership from the government, defense, industry, academia, startups, and global space agencies. The Congress served as a high-impact platform for strategic dialogue, technological exchange, and international partnership building, reflecting India's growing centrality in the global space economy. Anchored around the theme Pioneering Innovations in Space Technology, India's Journey Toward Global Partnership. It examined the intersection of innovation, policy, commercial expansion, and national security. Deliberations spanned satellite communications, launch capabilities, space sustainability, cybersecurity, dual-use technologies, and multi-domain operations, underscoring the expanding role of space in national development and defense preparedness. The Congress also aligned closely with India's Space Vision 2047 and the ambition to significantly expand the country's space economy while strengthening the global technological leadership. The report being released today captures the key insights and strategic outcomes of these deliberations. Importantly, strong and actionable recommendations emerging from the Congress have already been compiled and shared with the relevant ministries and government stakeholders, ensuring that the outcomes of this platform translate into policy direction, program development, and institutional actions. I would now request our esteemed dignitaries on the stage to kindly do the honors of unveiling the India Space Congress 2025 report. I would also invite Mr. Gautam Sharma, Managing Director, Viasat, India, to kindly join our dignitaries for the release of the report. और रिपोर्ट्स चाहिए सर, और रिपोर्ट्स, एनुअल रिपोर्ट चाहिए, ये नहीं एनुअल रिपोर्ट तो गलत दे दी, गलत रिपोर्ट।
हाँ, ये तो
And ladies and gentlemen, we have the report, the India Space Congress 2025 report, and our dignitaries are doing the honors of formally launching this report. We are indeed grateful to all the dignitaries. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen. As the India Space Congress 2025 report is being unveiled here at the opening plenary of DEFSAT, we are confident that it will serve as a guiding reference for policymakers, defense planners, and industry leaders as we collectively strengthen the role of space at the core of national security. Thank you very much indeed. And as we draw this memorable opening plenary towards its formal conclusion, it is time to express our gratitude to the distinguished leaders who have honored us with their presence and shared their invaluable insights. I would request Dr. Subba Pavuluri, President of SIA-INDIA, to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos to our esteemed dignitaries as a token of appreciation, respect, and gratitude. These mementos symbolize our gratitude for their leadership, vision, and continued commitment to strengthening India's defense and space ecosystem. I will request Sir to present a token of gratitude to Air Vice Marshal Manu Midha, DG DSA. Thank you, sir. We present to Lieutenant General PGS Pannu, Mr. Pannu, Lieutenant General Pannu, sir. We present to Mr. Ben Palmer, OBE, President Viasat Commercial. And we present to Mr. Partha P. Roy Chowdhury, Vice President Missions, ICEYE. We thank Dr. Pavuluri and all our distinguished dignitaries for enriching DEFSAT 2026. And I would now invite Mr. Anil Prakash, Director General of SIA-INDIA, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
बड़े बड़े शहरों में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं. We'll take it that, and I think it's a wonderful moment. I think everybody is enjoying being here, and thank you very much for your patience. Thanks for dignity on dais and off dais, and especially we are thankful to two gentlemen to start with my vote of thanks. These two gentlemen are Lieutenant General Pannu and Lieutenant General Dushyant Singh. These are the main curator of the DEFSAT 2026, and we have been working hard. We had preliminary roundtables, discussions, how we can build the scenario, how we can, what topics and session we should brought it, what are the relevance after Sindoor we bring to table. So that's the I think it's cumulate into the 3-day finale, you can say, or the summit, you can say, which we are going to deliberate upon. I'm really thankful to especially Mr. Ben Palmer, who came all the way to come to participate in this very august meeting. Thank you, Ben, for coming all the way. Let's give a big hand. And Mr. Partha, I'm really thankful for you. Your really presentation you made, and I think everybody has opened their eyes if they are not right. So ICEYE is also opened the eyes of the one who wanted to remain closed. We are really thankful to our partners for the conference, the Viasat, the ICEYE, the Saffron, and then the number of people who have taken the partnership and exhibiting. So please do join during the break or after. There's a exhibition area there. I'm really thankful to that. And also I'm really thankful to the SIA team, which has worked very hard. And I think they have really worked hard to bring this event to reality. I'm also thankful to the Manekshaw Center for very beautiful and exclusive, the facility which they have thing, and everybody is going to enjoy. So with that note, I look forward to your 3 days deliberation and your participation, which will make this conference successful. I'm also thankful to our partner Mary, especially Professor Lalita Agarwal is here, and you see a lot of volunteers will be, student volunteers be around, and thanks to Mary for providing those volunteers to help us. With that note, I will not take much of your time, and I say to enjoy your time and be intermingle with the people. Just enjoy your food, Manekshaw, and also meet a lot of people. And there is also the announcement we will be making that we are also arranging the B2B engagements. So those who wanted to have a meeting outside, networking, those places are available for you to utilize. With that note, I'm really thankful to everyone.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. May I request everyone to kindly rise for the national song followed by the national anthem.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sukhalam Malayaj Sheetalam, Sasya Syamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhrajyotsna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे, जय 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 हे.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the next significant highlight of DEFSAT conference and exposition, the formal inauguration of the exhibition. The DEFSAT exhibition, where 29 leading companies and institutions are showcasing the cutting-edge technologies and solutions in the defense space sectors. I would request our dignitaries to kindly proceed towards the inauguration of the exhibition and request our distinguished dignitaries and the members of the press and media and official photographers to kindly position themselves appropriately for the ribbon cutting ceremony. We would request everyone to kindly be seated back in time for the next session, which will commence sharp at 11:30. And also, along with the exhibition, we have tea and coffee served at the exhibition area. Once again, requesting everyone to kindly be back in time for the next session, which will begin sharp at 11:30. Thank you. Enjoy your visit to the exhibition, cup of tea and coffee, and kindly be back in time.